Hey guys, I just want to thank you guys for watching If You Can't Handle the Heat presented by IYCHTH System. I just want to let you guys know about our new collaboration this month, the month of the NCAA tournament, allvolleyball.com. They're the #1 volleyball retailer, and they have been around for 27 years, which if you're counting is longer than me, Joe, and Micah. Excuse my language, but allvolleyball.com has given a shit about the sport in the community long before it was thought to be cool. And when you shop with All Volleyball, they take a portion of each dollar and put it right back into the sport. I mean, they got it all. Shoes, essentials, and entire uniform packages. They have the most popular volleyball shoes in the world. OOS for 20% off to use on their entire store. Again, 20% off on all of allvolleyball.com. Hit the link in the bio. Again, OOS for 20% off. Enjoy the episode, guys.
Yeah, you can handle the heat. Yeah, you can handle the heat. Yeah, out of system, you can handle the heat.
Booyaka Show, welcome back to another episode of Can't Handle the Heat. It's your boy G Swizz, joined by my brother Jokesy. Jokesy, how we doing, brother?
What's up, everybody?
And it is that time of month. It is the NCAA tournament time of month. So what better guest could we get on than the former All-American Wisconsin Badger, a national champion, Team USA middle, currently playing in Italy, the Dana Rettke. Dana, thanks so much for hopping on the pod. Woo! Woo woo!
Of course, thanks for me.
Of course. And we back. Yeah, the last time we had you on, what was it? Was it last NCAA tournament?
Might
The one
have
before
been.
that.
Yeah,
Or
it was last year.
even maybe previously. COVID time, maybe? I don't know.
No, it was COVID time. 'Cause you were at your home. I remember that now.
I was at home, yeah.
Well, first things first. Being overseas, something that you learn really, really quickly is it's super hard to stay in contact with a lot of your ex players at Wisconsin or in college or whatever. Have you stayed in contact with a lot of them, or is it kind of hard for you?
Yeah, I've honestly stayed in contact with most of them.
Sick.
They're my best friends, and I love just being able to see what they're up to, especially the senior class that we had. Everyone's kind of doing their own thing now, and so I've honestly been trying to get a hold of a couple of girls for a while, but they're working 9 to 5s now, and
Right.
I'm over here with a 7-hour time difference. So trying to find time to catch up has been a little tough. But no, I'm just kind of that person in general who always is reaching out, wanting to keep in touch. So I definitely still keep in touch with all my Wisconsin teammates for sure.
That's awesome. For us, that's the thing you realize once you go home after pro. For example, I was home in the summer after pro season, and it's 11 right smack in the middle of the day of a Tuesday or Wednesday, and you're like, hey, you want to go play some pickleball or something like that? And you realize you're like no, I have work, I can't do that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh right, my bad, sorry about that, guys.
Every time I go home, I reach out to some of my friends. I'm like, oh, let's go do this. And then you realize I have to work. I'm like, wait, it is 1 o'clock on a Wednesday. Every time it never fails. I'm like, I work too, just not this 1 week. I only have this 1 week where I don't work. So I always forget that. It's funny.
That's awesome.
No, that's super. Like Gage said, a big focus for us is on NCAA championships this whole month and focusing around the women's tournament. I wanted to talk to you, just being NCAA athlete. We spoke last week to Nicklin Hames. I want to ask you, now being overseas, this is now you're into your second season pretty much. For you, what is something that you would like to see taught at an earlier age and on the women's side of all, from a skill perspective, you being in the middle and stuff? What is something that you, we were speaking before we kind of went live here, that you've picked up a lot and you're learning a ton this year? What's something from your vantage point that you'd like to see kind of picked up in the American system?
Yeah. That's a really good question. It's kind of hard to know that right off the bat, just because everything is still kind of new to me, and I'm learning a lot. I just think in general, I think in America we are very skill oriented, which I really appreciate. And here I almost feel it's kind of let's just roll the balls out and hit them really hard. And honestly, I don't really know if I love that, especially being a young player and wanting to develop my game at the international level. But some things like in general, I know that you said skill wise, but like this is like the first thing that comes to my head for like players coming from like NCAA into the pro game is like we got to be changing the ball that we use and like probably using international rules. I think that that like makes a huge difference. I guess for middles, not so much. I mean, yes, like both middles need to serve in the international game. But like for like outsides and passers, especially like the gap, I feel like is really hard to meet, if that makes sense. From like net or from NCAA to the pro game. Just from what I've seen, like obviously I'm not a passer, I don't like know 100%, but like the serving is like just it's a different level over here, and I think it has to do kind of with like the ball that we use, but also just like the athletes that they train. I also just think like skill wise, I think like I've just gotten a lot stronger over here. Just I don't think like one is necessarily like one training technique is better than the other, but I just feel like really strong. And I don't necessarily think I felt that when I was in college. I'm trying to think what else I could like say like skill wise. I think also like as a middle blocker, like at this level, my job is very different because like in college, you know, I was just I got set maybe 30 balls a game. And now it's like I get set like 15 balls or 10 balls. Like middles are just used like kind of differently at this level. And so kind of adjusting to that, but also just like knowing how to transition in a different way, if that makes sense also.
Yeah.
Because like again, despite like the hitters are just so much stronger, the diggers are just so much better, and like you're not going to get that perfect dig every time. So like just being more aware in transition is kind of something that I'm like struggling with a little bit, but I'm working through. That was kind of a lot I just threw out there.
No. The more you talk, the better, Dana. The more information you give, the better.
Feel free. Yeah, no, I will keep talking if you want me to keep talking.
What is Coach Kelly Sheffield, his whole like in terms of preparing you guys to go overseas and play pro? I'm sure that's something you guys talk about, especially at a program like Wisconsin. What is something that he kind of forewarned you about, or like in training every day he spoke about? Because I know like, at Hawaii, for example, there's a lot of stuff they would speak about. Like when you go professionally, like this is expectations. This is like a skill set that you have to kind of strengthen. What are some things that even at University of Wisconsin, Kelly and their staff kind of, I don't know, made you aware of, or just kind of like established from that point in your career?
Yeah. So I think that like first off, just like the mentality that we train with every day at Wisconsin is like exactly what you need to have at the professional level. Like accountability is definitely not as high from like an external perspective, like from coaches, from I guess even like teammates. Sometimes I just think that like there's a different culture around volleyball over here, and I think like in college it was so team oriented and like you want to do so well for your team, when like here it's just it's a little bit different. I think it's definitely like at the pro level it's a little bit more individually focused. So I think that like just like kind of preparing myself for that was like the hardest thing to transition from for me, I think. But one thing that he just did really well was like we each had to figure out like our own ways to prepare for matches, our own ways to prepare our bodies for practice, kind of like figuring out what you need in any specific moment, whether that be like warming up wise, or like what you need to, like if you need to get touches before a game, if you need to, you know, like whatever you need to do, like just making like that plan, because over here like that there is no structure. And I think that is like, maybe I don't know if that's just like a my team thing, but it's very much like you warm up on your own, you do everything on your own. And so I think that like just like being aware of that in college and knowing exactly what I need has really helped like transition me to this level, I guess. I would also say just like some things that he did really well was kind of just like talk about professional volleyball. Like I think a lot of the times, like in US, like college coaches don't necessarily know a whole lot about the pro game, like which is fine because like that's really not like their their job, their area of like expertise. But like we talked a lot about it, just like individually and like what I was looking for and like what are my goals and what do I like, where do I want to see myself in the next 5 years, next 10 years? Like, am I still going to be play like what? Just like kind of talking through that stuff, and because I think that when you don't talk through any of that stuff, you don't know what to expect. And like the transition is already so big as is, moving to a different country and different team and all that stuff. So I think that just taking the time to sit down and talk things out, I think was just really helpful for me.
I have two questions to go off of that. The first question, so obviously
Yeah.
NCAA tournament, you're able to watch Wisconsin. And did you watch Wisconsin throughout the year, or NCAA volleyball throughout the year as much?
Oh
Because
yeah,
of time difference.
I definitely watched. There's a big time difference, but I'm a dedicated fan over here. I was up
Like
at
to hear.
3 a.m. once.
That's what I like to hear right there. That's what I like to hear. With that being said, is there something like, for example, when I watch myself like back in college, like an old video or whatever, I sometimes like I'm like, oh, like I hit myself on the head because when you go overseas, like you said, there's such a learning curve. Is there ever like a point where you're just like you like see like either your old self or stuff when you watch NCAA volleyball, like where it's like, oh, these small things, and I didn't know better. Like obviously I had to go overseas to learn all this. That you just learn. That you like oh my, like you just see kind of the NCAA like level game where you're like, oh, that would not be acceptable what that just happened there or this or that.
Yeah,
Now having an
I
experience
would
overseas.
say, yeah, the one thing that I would see, I don't know if even it's like an acceptable thing, but I just see like, I remember like in college, like getting block touches for me was not that big of an issue. Like I just felt like I had a really good touch and feel for the ball on like my blocking, and now like hitters are just so much smarter, so much like more physical that like it's really hard for me to like make sure that I'm in the right place. Like the game is just moving at a different level. Is that kind of like what you're asking?
Yeah,
Um,
100%, 100%.
I would also say that like tips in general don't fall a whole lot as like just the defenders like read the game so much better, and so I think that like there's just certain I don't really know like exactly what, but like you need to be crafty, but I just think that there's like little things like that, like off speed shots that like are just read better at this level, honestly.
Yeah, that it's a small thing. That's what I kind of know. It's like either like
Yeah.
oh little like making the really good play on the easy ball. That's the biggest thing that I learned. And my brother always harps on me, and a lot of people harp on me, and they are correct. The second thing you kind of mentioned that Wisconsin volleyball talks a lot about professional volleyball. With Team USA, does Karch pay a lot more attention to NCAA volleyball, or is he really focused on overseas volleyball, or does he do a good job balancing both?
In what sense?
In terms of what he watches, for example, a lot of
Oh,
time. Yeah, yeah.
okay. I think that Karch is watches international volleyball more. Just one, like almost all of the players that are like in the gym right now are playing overseas and not in college, and like we're having some like young kids coming up too, which is really exciting. But he also needs to start looking like for that new talent. So I think he's also really invested in NCAA volleyball as well, just to see like his new like prospects and who he can be bringing into the gym. But overall, like definitely knows the professional game super well. I mean, he's the best to ever do it. So he's really invested in it.
That is true. So I don't think our listeners realize for elite level players like yourself, once you guys are done with the NCAA tournament, how quick that turnaround is to going professional.
Yeah.
I want you to kind of talk about that timeline because, like for guys, we have a summer, right? We have a full summer. For other sports, maybe they have a full off season that they can kind of get ready. But for you guys, it's a matter of weeks and in some cases days. I was wondering if like, okay, last ball drops. Whether if you're the round of 64, 32, etc., national championship. Obviously, you have less time to kind of prepare for it. But what is your schedule like once that last ball drops, and you're preparing to go overseas?
And also, we're agents at the Final Four for you guys. If that if they were present there.
Yeah. Yeah, so like the blast the ball drops and like you got to start thinking about the future like the next day. Like honestly, it's the turnaround time is crazy. There's usually agents at the Final Four that you're allowed to talk with them. You just can't commit to anything. Um, and so like just having like those conversations and uh like it's so crazy like that like for the Final Four for me it was like you I want to like be in this moment because this is like my last it was 2 games of my college career with like a lot on the line, but like also you have to start thinking about the future. And so it's a really kind of crazy dynamic to work through. But yeah, the timeline for me, like ball dropped the next day, I was kind of like on the phone talking to my now agent about like what opportunities were available for me. Um and it comes so fast. By the time the ball dropped, the time I actually got into Italy, it was 3 weeks, and that was actually a little bit long because I had some visa issues. So like, and before that, right after the national championship, I had a horrible case of COVID. So I was in bed for probably like 5 straight days. And then I go home and it's like I immediately have to start packing to head overseas. And so yeah, it was about 3 weeks for me. And yeah, the turnaround is it's crazy. It's quick to pick up your life and move to a different country. Nonetheless, it's crazy.
Yeah, I think like you guys are I tip my cap to you guys because that is insane. Because like a lot of these clubs are looking for one. They're like, you need to come now because
They want
our
him
setter-
December, yeah. They want him
Yeah.
like now.
Yeah, they're like, oh, our setter's hurt. We don't have a setter. We need you right now. It's like,
Yeah.
I like
Like
you have
immediately.
a day. You have a day to think about it before we find someone else. It's like, oh
Exactly.
my
That's
god.
the business. It's crazy.
And so you guys, like you said, you guys talk about overseas life, but are you guys in communication like when you were in college with like a lot of the overseas players? So you kind of had like, because like I said, you don't have like a lot of time to kind of like think about, oh, I got to get used to this or talk to all these people. But like I said, it's a matter of days and weeks. So do you have time beforehand to kind of talk about with other players, oh, what to expect this and what to do with that? Or is it kind of learning on the go?
Yeah. So it was for me, it was a lot of learning on the go, but I was really fortunate to have made the connections with the national team girls before since I was on the national team in 2019. That was my first season. And so I made those connections with those girls. And so I was really like comfortable at calling them, just saying like, hey, like these are my options. Like, what do you think? What do you know? Like tell me everything. And so honestly, I was a little grateful for that like week that I had COVID because it really like, that's all I did was just call people that I've played with before and just been like, hey, like what do I expect? What do I look for? What do I need to bring? Like, there's anything that you think I need to know? Like, what is it? And from there, it was just like kind of mentally preparing to then eventually sign my contract, and eventually like I was gone. Um, so yeah, I would say for like anyone wanting to play the pro game, like call everybody you know, and that can be me included. You can always call me, because I just think that having there, it's such like a niche group, right? Like not everyone does this crazy thing that we do, and so just preparing yourself the best way you can is, I think, the most important. And just talking to people that you trust. You can never like make a bad decision that way.
Gotcha.
And Dana, a quick break here. And talking about people that you trust, whether it's a player, whether it's a coach, whether it's a fan, whether it's a son, a daughter, a mom or dad, we want to give a quick shout out to our newest presenting partner, All Volleyball right now. The #1 volleyball retailer. They've been here since 1995. They support people just like Gage, myself, Dana, professional players, all the way down to the junior level, recreational level. They have everything volleyball, literally anything you possibly need. Guaranteed to get there under the tree before Christmas time. They got every single ball, every net system, knee pads, all types of gear, the best brands out there. Go check them out, olivevolleyball.com. Need to give a shout out there in the middle here.
let's get back to the program now.
Speaking of knee pads, Dana, do you wear knee pads as a middle?
Yes, I wear pads.
Can I ask you why is that?
We play defense too.
It's true. That's true. That's true. But what if I don't know, what if I were to tape my fingers though? You know what I'm saying? If I were to tape my fingers like for blockers, would that be the same as getting knee pads for a middle?
I don't think so.
Why is that?
I think it'd be great. I think you should try. Well,
That's true.
I feel like knee pads are just really part of the uniform also.
That's true. They add a little pizzazz to it.
They really like emphasize like I'm a volleyball player.
That's true. That's true. So for girls, and this is vice versa for guys. In girls in college, you guys play with long sleeve jerseys for the most part. It's all Wisconsin. It has shorter sleeves, normal sleeves, but overseas it's all cutoffs. What do you prefer, the long sleeve or the cutoff jersey?
I think I love a good long sleeve jersey. I think it's
Why is
super. I just think it looks really like sharp. I don't know.
It's true.
And also, I like it just because like it's a little selfish of me. But as a middle, like I'm in and out, so like I can just like stay warm.
This is true. Libero, I didn't even think about
Yeah.
that. That's so true.
That honestly, as a middle, it's impressive that they come in and out and then like stay in rhythm because also, okay, yeah, you stay warm, but if you warm up, cool down, and then you're sitting there like in a cold arena, like in your sweat, I get so cold from that. I'm like, middles do it the entire match.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
It's not a very preferable way to.
I like actually forget that other people don't do that. Come out of the game.
Are there any tips? Are there any like
forget
tips
that's
that
only
you
a me.
have for like staying warm or like staying focused or like being able to just like, because also when you come out of that like, you know, that I was about to say 9x9, but that's just in meters, I guess. When you come off the court, and you're just like it's super competitive, you're in it, you know, adrenaline's fine, and then you come off. Yeah, you still have the same competitiveness, but you know, you give yourself a chance to kind of take that break. Do you have any tips for like staying warm physically, but also like sharp mentally and emotionally?
Yeah. So physically, I really like coming off the court. I don't have that much of a problem like getting super cold, unless like you know like we're just killing it in one rotation. But like usually it's like I'm okay like physically. Got maybe a couple squats, a couple you know high knees, and I'm usually good to go. But like mentally, it actually like it's really nice to take that 3 rotations out because I can like kind of see what's open on the other side by watching the other middle that's in. So like I'll usually come off, like I'll check with my coaches if there's anything that they have to say to me, or if there's just anything that you know is like they need to let me know. If not, I'll usually just go to the bench with my teammates and just talk to them, like ask what they've seen, and then also just like look for myself. I know that like you know not every person is defended the same, but I can kind of like get the gist. Like if like the back row is always like if there's never an off blocker coming like off for tips, like okay, like I'll just make a little mental check of that, and like if there's a time where I need to tip a ball or just want to give them a different look, like I can do that. What else? I think that's like the one thing that like I think that helps a lot mentally is just seeing the game better and like understanding the game, and like just keeps me still focused on the task at hand. And then I don't know, emotionally, I'm pretty high energy, so it's kind of hard for me to come down from that, honestly. So we're chilling there.
I want to kind of ask a few questions about Wisconsin volleyball in the tournament. Obviously, you've watched all the games. Is there any opponent where you're like, oh, got to keep my eye on those girls?
Every game in the tournament.
They had were you nervous in the 5-setter versus Penn State? No.
Yeah, so actually, I did not watch that one. I won't lie,
Wow, bro.
just because I needed to sleep. But you know, it's a watch party at my house tomorrow because we're up. We're watching it all the way through. But yeah, when I woke up this morning, of course, I rolled over and the first thing I did was open Wisconsin Volleyball Twitter, and I saw the scores and I was like, wow. I mean, Penn State, great team. Like they took Wisconsin to 5 in the Big Ten season, so we knew it was going to be a battle. But Yeah, there's just something about the tournament. I've been like so like giddy and excited that I'm not even playing in it. Just like the energy around it, just like the memories that I have from it. It's like, uh, I'll like sometimes I'll like go back and just like think about like sometimes rewatch the matches, like especially if I'm bored on like a bus ride. I'm like, oh, like maybe I'll like look at like the pictures from that time or pull up a match or something. I don't know, but I've been in such a happy mood because of this, and I'm not even a part of it, but I'm just
Hey,
stoked for everyone that's involved with it.
you're part of it right here, Dana. Right here, the heart. That's what matters. So,
It is the
so,
part that matters.
so, can you talk to me a little about the dominance over Nebraska that Wisconsin has? What I mean, it's every year just dominating. Even when they're a higher seed, even when they're the favorites going in. I mean, what's it feel like going in? Like that. I mean, is it like?
Is it something that you guys like
Yeah.
pinpoint like on? Obviously, every match is big, but it's something like when Nebraska is on the schedule. Is that something that is highlighted by the coach of this team in any way?
um, I would say like yes. I think like Nebraska obviously like is always a great team, and they always they they give their all in every match, and like that's just like who we love to play against, and to just like play against that competition is like why you play this sport. But yeah, I mean, I think that like when you do have like a big match like that, like it's going to be circled, but I don't really think that like preparation is any different. We never like yeah, like that's a big match for us, and like just like any other like ranked team, and so um yeah, I don't know. I think that the matchups have been really great for us, and yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
How would you describe like Nebraska as a team? Like going against them, what are some elements of them that's pretty typical in terms of the style which they play, or the type of players they have
Yeah.
on their team over the years? What is like? Because I
Yeah.
I have a certain way in my mind, but I think you have a way further more or just more experience, obviously playing in the matches and stuff, and understanding of the two different teams.
Yeah, for sure. I think that Nebraska, like when you're going to play Nebraska, they're gonna be a great serving team, and they're gonna be a great defensive team. And like it's going to be hard to score. You really against them have to just play the long game, and you're not going to put the ball on the floor on the first swing every time. You just got to make sure that you kind of stay in it and like win those transition points. Because like again, they also have strong attackers. Like in their passing is really well, really good too. So playing the long game against them, I think is like has been our key to success, I think.
So what would you, now you describe Nebraska volleyball, what would you describe Wisconsin volleyball in terms of the players you guys bring in?
Yeah, I think Wisconsin is like just the way that we train and we go about things. And of course, I've never really like been in anyone else's gym to train or to practice or to watch, but like just like super gritty. Like I just think that every match, it's like we put our head down and we just work. There's no excuses for anything. There's never going to be like we are together, we are one unit, and like we are just going to grind it out, and it's going to be hard to beat us. And that's just, I think, the mentality that we have. It doesn't matter who's on the other side than that. I think it's really fun when you can just like the hard wins are the best wins, right? And I think that's like what we want to achieve every time. So I just think that like we're like Wisconsin's just a really gritty program. That's what I would say.
So
Gritty and
was it
passionate.
that, I mean, just obviously, unfortunately, we never made it to a Wisconsin game because we're either in university or overseas, but just from the
We've been to the boat ride, so
we've been to the boat ride, so basically
So we
been
meet
to
all
the
their
game,
fans.
See, I've never been to the boat ride, so
What? Why not?
I need to
oh,
make it
you're
at
not
one
allowed
point.
to. Are you not allowed to? Is that why? In your schedule, the national team and stuff, yeah.
No, yeah, I would have loved to play in it, just never really worked out.
I mean,
I don't know.
It's quite an experience.
But with Wisconsin fans,
No, it seems awesome. I need to make it at some point.
you gotta. But with Wisconsin fans, is it like when it's kind of tournament time? Is it just like crazy in the town, or is it because that's like one of the only, not one of the only, but one of the schools where it's like, okay, you have a lot of premier programs on the sports, but for you guys, it's also volleyball. It's like top of the top kind of thing. So is it like hectic kind of environment? Is there a different feel like in December for you guys in the buzz in the air or something like that?
I think in the field house, like once it hits tournament time, there definitely is this buzz, and I don't even know if I can really describe it, but like just people are excited, and especially I think like for like a couple of years when we were so close to winning the title previously and then eventually like doing it, I feel like the fans like felt that also and just like wanted us like they want to see that success out of any team, but like just knowing like how close we've come like the previous 2 times, and then we were able to finish it out last year, which was awesome. But like I think there is definitely like that buzz for sure, just extra energy. And I saw like yesterday they recorded that like the field house got to like 110 decibels or something like that, which is like
Holy.
nuts. So yeah,
Love to hear that. So
very loud, very loud.
what's it like going from a program like that? And I'm sure I don't know if you've kind of described to your teammates about the facilities you have at Wisconsin or like a big college in America. What's it like going? Because people like, here's the thing. People have this idea of professional volleyball and obviously, especially Italy, like all these facilities, they have everything, but you could say better than I can, but it's at the end of the day, it's really not like that all the time. Like they have really good facilities and they have this and that, but in terms of facilities, in terms of stuff at your disposal, resources, America tops it all just the universities top it all, especially Wisconsin. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to talk to
it
explain
really is,
your
like,
teammates?
Yeah, I try not to talk about Wisconsin too much. But actually they'll call me Wisconsin sometimes. I don't know why. They thought I was from Wisconsin. It was a big situation. But no, yeah, it's actually crazy like how fortunate we are to be able to play college athletics and the resources that are available to us, because here it's just nothing. It's not nothing. We have a lot of resources, and our facility at Monza is beautiful, really. Like our gym it's beautiful. But like when our arena here in Monza, it holds like about 4,000 maybe. When I tell my teammates that like I've played in front of 19,000 people, they're like, what do you mean? Like where? Like I need to see this. Like they don't really believe that. And when I tell them I played in front of 7,000 people every night, like they're like, what? Yeah. And then the next question is like, well, why don't you have professional volleyball in America? And I know that's a different conversation. I know it's starting up, but like it is like people really do want to watch it and invest in it. But like even like the facilities wise, like when I show them like pictures of the locker room that we had at Wisconsin, they can't believe it. Like it's a different level. And like here, it's like you just, you have your locker and your showers and that's it. And I think that my club here in Monza, like we have a lot of resources available to us, which I'm really thankful for, but that's definitely not the case like across all professional sports. And I honestly think too, and when you add like the charter planes on top of it, like we were talking earlier, like we're coming back home at like 7 a.m., 6 a.m. from a bus ride. And I used to hop on a charter plane and be home in 30 minutes. Like, it's just kind of crazy when you think about that. But it's, yeah. And when I think of like professional volleyball, like real, like what you would think of like a professional setting to be, and like I would like, NCAA volleyball like is as professional as it gets in terms of, what they offer for their athletes and like the way that they conduct things. And like, they have the money to do it. So
yeah,
that's that.
No, yeah, we do the same. Guys ask us questions all the time, and we explain to them. We're like, no, like literally, you don't really have to. Everything's there for you. Anything your laundry, everything. You're not doing anything. Everything is
Even
there
the
for
other
them.
day, I was talking to a teammate of mine, and I was like, or I was talking to Jordan Thompson. I was like, oh, you know what I miss? I was like, I miss having snacks at practice. And she was like, yeah, I miss that too. And one of my teammates was like, what do you mean snacks at practice? I was like, yeah, like in
Yeah.
college, like we would have this like this room, this center where we would go and you could just take any snacks. She's like, you just take it, you don't pay for it. I was like, no, you just take it and you leave. She's like, what? I'm like, yep.
Yeah.
And so that was something that I missed.
Is that something you miss the most? Like, what is that the thing you miss the most, or is there something like specifically you miss the most?
Oh no. I think like what I miss the most is like this might sound like kind of interesting, but like or just like I don't know if it's gonna sound the way that like I'm wanting it to say, but or wanting it to sound. Like, I miss for like playing for something bigger than myself. Like right now it's like yes, I still play a team sport. Yes, I play for like my club and I do love my club. But like so much hard happened at Wisconsin that like that's just like something that I wouldn't like change for the world. And like I think that like just through like all the hard stuff, like we built this program and it's bigger than anything that like I could have ever thought that I would be a part of. So that's what I miss the most is just playing with like these people that I've played with for 5 years and have become my best friends. And that isn't to say that like I love my club here. I love my teammates here, but it's just you build like the building up of something and then kind of like reaching the top and like doing what you can like you set out to do. Like there's just never gonna be something like that tops that for me. In this current moment. I mean, I hope that there's other things that top that. Like I do have aspirations to, win an Olympic gold and stuff like that. So I think when that time comes, but like that's probably like the one thing that like I miss the most, which like it's not a tangible thing. Tangible things were great, but yeah.
No, we get that. And that's the thing about at the end of the day, professional volleyball is a business at the end of the day. And not that college athletics
Exactly.
is not, but like you said, you're 4 years with some of the close people you ever meet in your life. And we're very fortunate on our team. I have my brother on my team. We have another guy, Jordan, who's been playing with since we were 11 years old. Colton, who we play with in college. And then 3 other Canadians who we're a really young team. And there's something that I didn't experience last year on my last team, my first pro season, that I'm experiencing now. It's like I feel like a young team, and our club has always been like a mid-level kind of team, and it feels like we're doing something special for the club, so it feels like we're fighting for something. And that's like something I missed last year, where you're just like, man, like especially at Hawaii and especially at Wisconsin, you're fighting for a whole state, at the end of the day, and it's bigger than yourself. And so I'm very, very fortunate about that. I'm definitely soaking it in, but playing for something bigger than you is definitely, like I said, you put on the Team USA jersey, so you get that, and you're lucky. I mean, you're very fortunate that you get that in the summers, especially.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we just have one more question here. We're gonna let you go here. Who do you got in the national championship?
Wisconsin.
All right, but there's got to be someone playing. You got to play someone in the finals. So on the other end, you got Stanford, San Diego, Texas, Ohio State. On the other side.
Ohio State. Man. Oh man. I didn't like actually write out a bracket, but that side's tough.
It is.
Oh man, you guys. I would love to see a Stanford Wisconsin matchup again.
A little payback. I like that. Personal vendetta.
I would love to see that. I mean, I think Texas had an absolutely fantastic season too. I really don't know too much about San Diego, but I mean, obviously they're a great team. I don't know a whole lot about Ohio State either, but I think I would love to see either like a Texas, Wisconsin, Stanford, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Ohio State, baby.
Yeah.
Joe chose Ohio State, so but I mean, if any of those 4 teams match up, they got size and they got a lot of firepower. So that'll be a very interesting matchup. We just want to say thanks for hopping on. It's always a pleasure having you on, Dana. We wish you the best luck in Italy, and just remember, if you can't handle the heat, goddamn kitchen. This has been another episode presented by Out of System.